Good evening. So we are going to have a slight change in plans. I did a little bit more drilling. Cargo didn't really get too low, but it got low enough that I could run the drills for another couple minutes. And I think we might actually be over a legit ice deposit here because we're still not through the ice. And because of that, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and fly our little cargo shuttle back to the main base with a load of ice, and then come back with the components to build a connector on the side of this large cargo container, or maybe the hydrogen tank, doesn't really matter which, but so that we can dock up the shuttle with the rover. And I'm going to shuttle some ice back and forth, and I'm also going to set up a hydrogen engine over at the base to help with the power situation over there, because we do not have enough power to run all of our machines, but we do have plenty of hydrogen because we have a full hydrogen tank over there now. And I'm going to make some shuttle runs of ice back and forth here and get some of this ice out of here, because this one O2H2 generator is just not doing it fast enough. Now we will of course eventually be setting up more O2H2 generators here, but that's a lot more components to move to try to build one of those on site. Don't hit my rover. Oh, you like making me nervous, don't you? Yeah, we really need to build some turrets on here. But that will come in time. So yeah, we're going to grab the ice that we can carry, which is not going to be a whole lot compared to what's in here. But we're going to take some of it. Now we're not going to be able to use the conveyors here at all because it's powered off, so we will go ahead and power it on actually. And go ahead and fly it up over here so that we can load up a little bit more. Now we can't dock it to anything, of course, because there's no connector ports on here for the time being. There eventually will be, of course, but there's not yet. So we're just going to load up what we can carry, which will be an interesting test of the atmospheric thrusters on here, see if we've got enough. Now all of our cargo systems are connected here on the conveyor, at least with the small port, so we can even load up the cockpit. Not that that amounts to a whole lot of cargo space total. No, I parked it on top. I parked the jets on top of very incomplete armor blocks. That was a bad plan. So they melted through. That's okay. We can replace them. Of course, we can only replace one of them right now. But luckily, we do have this thing fairly structurally put together, so that it's still being held together in other areas. But yeah, that's something I need to be careful of, and that is a very solid reason to actually assemble your armor blocks. Because that would have taken a lot longer to happen with fully assembled blocks. So far, we're still able to support the weight here. Go ahead and fill our personal inventory also. replace the one that we can. We'll replace the other one when we get back. Now we need to be careful not to tip too far over here because we've got 6 engines on the bottom, but we only have 2 facing forward and backward and 1 facing side to side. So we certainly do not have the thrust to support the weight here, or at least most likely we do not have the thrust to support the weight if we tip too far. Go ahead and turn our connector back on because we'll need that. Now this is just going to be unloading into the large cargo container at this point because we've got full hydrogen tanks over here. But we are going to build a hydrogen engine so that we can start our refinery back up and help finish processing the cobalt and magnesium we've got on site here. And we'll be able to power that and charge the battery as long as we have a functioning hydrogen engine, which generates 5 megawatts as compared to our wind turbines, which are only doing about 1 with the 3 of them. And our hydrogen engine will continue to function as long as we have either hydrogen or ice. And we will have a pretty healthy amount of both. I am going to go ahead and put our thrusters on the hot bar, turn them off. What's this? Oh, that's the probe thrusters. It's not what I want. I also don't have the gyros on here. So I need all the white ones because the orange ones are actually from the probe. They're on a different subgrid. And I want the 2 gyros. The gyros don't take up a lot of power, but they do take up some power. So we are going to go ahead and turn them off. Alright, so there's that. Refill our personal tank here. Move all this into the large cargo container. And then we'll go ahead and do the hydrogen engine first. Figure out where we want to put it. Over here looks good. We need to queue up some small steel or some steel plates first. Both because we need some over at the rover, we need some here, and we're going to need plenty for the hydrogen engine anyway. And we're going to put this right here. Whoa, lag spike. Alright, so we need 79 more steel plates. No, we don't need that many. We need 74 more steel plates. We need 50 construction components. got some large steel tubes in here and some small ones. I don't remember if we need small ones. Yep, we need both. Alright, so we need 10 more large steel tubes. We need 12 more small steel tubes. We need 12 motors. And 1 power cell. Alright, and while that's finishing, we also need 130 steel plates. 40 construction components. 12 small steel tubes. 8 motors. 20 computers. And that will be our connector for over at the rover. Now this will chew through our ice, and it'll start chewing through our hydrogen, but once the battery's charged, it'll definitely slow down. And it'll only chew through enough hydrogen and ice and whatever else to keep everything powered. And that'll really only be an issue as long as we have this thing with the hydrogen engines. This is a bug with the hydrogen engines. Apparently you can get a cockpit or a flight seat. Well, it can't be a cockpit. Well, it has to be, if it's a cockpit, it has to be actually attached to the main grid. If it's attached through a connector like this, when you power it off, everything falls apart. I wonder if I can reload the game. That's definitely the better way to do it. If I can get it to work that way. Because yeah, it doesn't actually activate here. Is it because of the base battery? What if I put this into recharge mode? And then try power cycling. No, still doesn't work. Alright. I want to keep this in auto because I don't want to have power problems. Alright, we'll figure that out later. It's not super duper important to do right now. We've got plenty of cargo space over here. Yeah, we got plenty of cargo space over here. We got, what is that, 370-ish thousand liters. So I'm not super worried about that. Instead, we're going to move the parts for the connector up into the medium cargo container of the cargo shuttle. That could probably all fit in our personal inventory, but we'll go ahead and use the shuttle because we got it. We'll throw these computers back in here for the time being in the appropriate small cargo container, if I can find it. There it is. Then hop back in here, turn our battery back on, turn our engines and gyro back on, turn the connector off, and head back over to the rover. Oh, I didn't grab an extra steel plate. Yeah, I need an extra steel plate. I'm gonna head back for that. And we are out of range to do it from here. I think we're in, nope, still not in range. Because I turned those antennas down really low, and I think I actually turned the probe antenna off. This is why we want a connector, so we can park this somewhere safe instead of parking it somewhere where it will break stuff. Alright, now we can go back. By connecting the sub 2, we'll be able to charge it, and that'll give the power stuff something to do on here to actually use this hydrogen, so we don't end up filling it up too. Need to bring all our parts. Oh, because it's got a small cargo interface between them, so we can't pull it out of the cockpit because they're components. Place that. Place this. And then load up that. Now my creative design does have a connector on the top, but we need a new connector that's facing sideways for our shuttle, based on the way this connector is oriented. Turn our connector back on. Get lined up here. Bring it on in. Then lock it. Recharge mode. And that just sucked all the power. Alright, let's actually check our power situation here. And our cargo situation while we're at it. Alright, so this is on recharge mode, so it's not doing anything. Hydrogen engine is outputting 4.53. So with the engines on, it does take too much. It goes past the capacity of the hydrogen engine, at least for just one. So we need to be careful about that. Make sure we turn our engines off before we put our battery into recharge mode, or we're going to have power issues on this on the rover. Because you saw that, I don't know if you noticed, the conveyor lights all went red. That's an indicator of a power shortage. So where are we here? Still got a lot of ice. Alright, well, we still got a little bit of time left in the episode. So what I think we are going to do is try to figure out that hydrogen engine situation over at the base. So we'll get back in here, turn our batteries on first, then our engines and gyros, and then we will cut power to the connector, and off we go. Connector power back on. And lock, and engines, and gyro, and battery. Okay. Now the question is what is the cheapest thing that we can build on here? Anything we can build looks like it's going to take at least 100 computers. We can't use a remote control block because we need power for a remote control block, and the whole point of this is to turn off all the power. That's only for small grids. I don't think we can just use a passenger seat. I think it takes more than that. That's definitely the cheapest thing we can build, though. And it looks like we will need those same components at least to build a control station. So you know what, we will try doing that first, just because that will be by far the cheapest option. See what we actually need as opposed to what, yeah, 10 and 20. We don't need all 20 of those interior plates to actually finish the thing. So we'll try this. I don't fully expect it to work. We'll probably just have to disassemble it and actually build a control station or a flight seat. But that's okay. If that's what it comes to, that's what it comes to. So we'll just stick a passenger seat right here. So it's a nice little place for us to watch the drills work. No. Yeah, Y is not working. Okay, worth a try. So instead, we can either do a control station or a flight seat. And the difference is the number of displays, and I'm pretty sure that's the only difference. Yeah, it's just the number of displays. I think we'll do a control station, because this isn't a flight. This is a station. It doesn't fly, and displays are relatively cheap. So we need 2 motors, 100 computers, and 10 displays. 2 motors, 10 displays, and that was 16 computers that we had there, so we only need 84. And I realized we overbuilt the construction components in here. I'm not going to mess with it. It's 5 construction components. It's probably more aggravating for you to watch me deal with it than it is for me to just mine more stuff and replace the resources. We are getting through this magnesium too, so this is really not even completely necessary, although there's a lot more magnesium still in this large cargo container. So yeah, it'll take us a while to get through all this if we just use the one basic refinery. If we can get the hydrogen engine running, we can power up the main refinery, and this will go a little bit faster. Alright, so before I actually do this, I want to lower the connector piston so that that's closer to the ground, because otherwise we're just going to drop the cargo shuttle and that could go badly. So I think we want this down to, I think it was something like 1.1. We'll just do 1.0 for now, actually. No, it needs to be higher. We'll do 1.2. And see how that looks. Alright, I think we can afford 1.1. 1. Yeah, that just goes down a whole meter. That's too much. 0.9. 0.8. This is control click, by the way, for those of you who don't know, to get the dialog box to come up so you can select it exactly. 0.6. You know what, that's probably close enough. Alright, now Y to turn the whole thing off. See, we dropped the shuttle. Y to turn it back on. Then we want to go to the probe connector. What's that called? Just the connector. And why can we not lock? Alright, well, let's check on the hydrogen engine first of all. Oh, it is filled. It's just not actually running. Base battery. We'll put this into recharge mode. If we turn off the wind turbines. Alright, yeah, so the hydrogen engine is now working. And I'm going to keep the wind turbines on, because we don't actually want to use ice if we don't have to. Alright, now we need to get up to this probe. Oh, it's not working because this is turned off. So we need to get the battery into auto. We need the connector. Antenna. This is a problem. It seems to have been power cycled off, and getting it to power cycle back on is proving difficult. Because even though the battery says that it's on auto, its output is still 0. It's actually not turned on. Like the whole ship is turned off, like Y turned off. Alright, we'll deal with that in a minute. This is easy to fix. Y. Alright. Turn our engines on, our gyro on. Give ourselves a little bit of height. And lock. Engines off, gyro off, batteries off. And then we will go to the connector piston and lift it back up. Alright, now we gotta sort out this probe. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that. Since it is a probe, it's not like we can sit in it. There we go. Turn the battery off and on. Probe connector, lock. There we go. Probe battery can go back into recharge mode. And there we go. We're all set here. Now we will turn the refinery back on. That should pull some stuff in and get started. Yep, there we go. So there's the basic refinery working on magnesium. And here's the full refinery working on magnesium. What does our power situation look like now? So this is still in recharge. So it's not actually being used. And the hydrogen engine is not actually being used. So we've got enough wind power to run everything. Our wind turbines are almost at capacity though, and we're not running the assembler. So if we started assembling something, then the hydrogen engines would kick on. But this battery will be able to stay charged now. It'll only be switched back into auto mode when we actually are running low on other stuff. Hydrogen tank is not full anymore though. What up with that? Hydrogen tank, 91%. Oh, you know why? It's because it was filling up the hydrogen engine, which has a small tank in it. I say small, it's bigger than the hydrogen tank for the small grid, but it's smaller than the hydrogen tank for the large grid, so it does take up some, and we didn't have enough ice to keep it running, so there will be no ice left in the station now. Alright, that makes sense. Everything makes sense. And we are good for today, so we did a little bit of power stuff on the main base. We put a connector up on the rover. We are continuing to churn through that ice. Like, that hasn't stopped happening. You know, this whole episode we've been working through the ice that's on that rover. So in between episodes I'm going to fly the shuttle back over to the rover and maybe make a couple of runs of ice so that we can get that hydrogen tank refilled. And that will require the hydrogen engine, ironically enough, to kick on and actually start doing some work to get that O2H2 generator running in addition to these two refineries. But that'll help chew through some of that ice that we've got on the rover that's taking up cargo space. And hopefully relatively soon here we'll actually be able to do some more drilling and get into some stone and expand the cargo capacity of that rover. And then we'll be able to kind of exponentially grow out what we're able to do with it and move on from there. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to see what happens next. Likes and comments are appreciated. Verbal abuse is tolerated. Thanks very much. Bye.